Hello, everybody, and welcome to this show. I'm looking for something of mine that fell on the floor, so pardon me. Um, Hold on a second here, guys. The tip of my microphone fell off, so I apologize for that. Welcome to another episode of the Saturday Show. You see the title. Before we get started, gonna get a couple of bills paid here. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Somehow I got down to 414. So that leaves us 86 subscribers until we get to 500. So please hit that subscribe button, hit it, smash it, obliterate it. Subscribing is absolutely positively free. Um, you can also support me on Patreon. Patreon support starts at $2 per month. As you can tell, I need new lights because I got lights like all around me and it still looks very, very dark. So your $2 a month will help get me to that goal. Hold on a second here. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on today. So follow that link. You can also support my GoFundMe campaign. I'm still trying to raise $2,500. So far, I've raised 500, so that only leaves me like 2,000 to go. So I appreciate those that have contributed, and I ask that you contribute until I reach my goal. Last thing, guys still haven't seen this in a while, so I decided to make it 2 weeks in a row. Um, Follow me on Rumble. Rumble is another platform. It's not like YouTube, but if I get 5 followers, I can go live there. And once I get enough supporters to take that little duck out, you see that duck in the corner, I can only I can only podcast on one channel at a time. And once I get enough supporters, of course, I'm going to open that up, and Rumble will be one of the channels that I am on. So let's get this started. Please, 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 please comment. Um, would appreciate any support that you give, any thoughts, that type of thing. So I went to see the Michael biopic. I actually saw it today. So my thoughts are very, very, very fresh. And before I get started, there's a couple of things that I want to, first of all, this is full of spoilers. If you are not one of those people that like spoilers, you're gonna have to go somewhere else because I'm pretty much gonna tell what happened in the entire movie. That's just the way it is. Um, and the other thing I want to say is I'm trying to think of how I can phrase this without. I'll just say. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about why you should never listen to critics and the hate that I think this movie is getting. Um, some of it I could kind of see where they're going. Um, but it's like some of it is just like y'all just hating on Michael. So of course, if you are living under a rock, the Michael biopic is obviously based off of the late great King of Pop, Michael Jackson. Talks about his life, but it's only a certain amount of time. This isn't well, this isn't like from childhood all the way up until he passed. This is from, I'm trying to think of when it, and I literally just saw the movie today, but I know it covers just a certain portion. It covers the Jackson 5 definitely. Um, I'm trying to see like official. Wait a minute. 2026, da da da. So it covers from 1966 until 1988. So that's not Like, that's what the Jackson 5, the Victory Tour, the Jacksons. Yeah, thank you. Because I was like, is it 87? Because I was gonna say 88. That was the bad tour. Yeah, okay, so that was the bad tour. So it covers that. So I said I was gonna talk about this at the end, but I'm just gonna talk about this at the beginning. The critics of this movie make me sick. I don't like them. They wanted the movie to talk about, of course, the child PDF allegations. And let me say this, you might as well know, I think they're, but I don't believe them. I'm never gonna believe them. You can miss me with that. Put in the comments or go argue with your mama because this ain't gonna be the channel for that. He was investigated by the FBI for 17 years and they literally found nothing. He was put on trial and found innocent. So I'm not gonna, I ain't gonna be the one to sit here and argue with you and make go around and around and around and around and around. I ain't gonna be the one. Um, However, a couple of criticisms, I kind of, even though that one is the one, it didn't go in depth. It's like, if you think about it, this movie was a cliff notes of Michael's life. You're never going to get one movie where it's like, okay, this is his whole life. That's at least a 6 hour movie. Like, if you want to see that, there are plenty of Michael documentaries that you can watch. Um, and you can do that, but to expect a movie to cover all of that from 1968. Let's see, Michael was born in 52 and he died Michael died in 2009. No, 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 no. When did Michael pass? Oh, he did die in 2009. He was only 50. He was only 50. But it just didn't make sense. Like, they wanted the whole thing. Um, and that just, they're like, the acting is scarce. I don't agree with that. So everything the critics had to say, they can they can just go away. I literally am like, I never care what they say. And some of the movies that they say are good, I'm just like, first of all, what are you talking about? And second of all, this movie is stupid. I don't want to watch it. So I completely ignored the critics. I knew they were going to go to the hateration card. Um, I knew that's where they were going to go. I knew this is where they're going to go. They're going to sit here and talk. They didn't talk about the PDF allegations. Blah 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 blah. This movie starts off in 1968 with the Jackson 5. Um, and then was it 68? Yeah, 66. Sorry, 66. And then it goes to 88. Like, what are they? Oh my gosh, they did. The hateration around this was just terrible. Um, I'll tell you what surprised me. I thought I was gonna run into um a whole bunch of people dressed up. I went to the matinee show, so I didn't go to like the evening show. I went at like 12:45 because that's when I could get tickets. I actually tried to go see it last Saturday and it was sold out. So I'm like, well, I'll go this Saturday. And it wasn't sold out. So that was good because I got to see it. I forgot how loud, um, I forgot how loud theaters are. I hadn't been to see a movie since Cats the musical came out. And Cats the Musical had came out, let's see. Cats the Musical, Cats the movie musical came out. Wait a minute. Cats the movie musical came out in, wait a minute. Cats I'm gonna get this one. Don't tell me, people. Don't tell me. It came out in 2019. So I hadn't been to a movie theater since then. I wasn't, so that's the last time I have walked into a theater. I paid like under $15 for the ticket, so I thought it was affordable. So let me start off by saying this again. This is spoiler alert. So if you don't like spoilers, you better tune in someplace else because this ain't gonna be the channel for you. Um, there's a true villain in here, and I want everybody to hear me out when I say this. I think Catherine Jackson is a villain. Why would you stay with somebody as despicable, as horrible, disgusting, variant piece of trash like Joe Jackson? She, first of all, there's a scene in the movie where he literally beats Michael for not singing a note. Let's say that's my child. You think I'm gonna just let you beat my child for no reason? Well, no, backtrack. There's never a reason to raise your hand to a child. Okay, that's what I believe. But you think I'm just gonna let you keep beating my child and abusing my children and I don't do anything? I just sit there like, and she's like, oh well, but no, get up and do something. Like she was like the true villain. Like if I ever met, and I know Mother Jackson, she's still with us. I think she's 96. Like I'm like, are you do something? Get up, say something. The only time that she said something was like when Michael was an adult. I'm like, he could have used that when he was a child. And it was like, Joe, here's my other, obviously Joe Jackson is another villain. Um, Coleman Domingo, if I ever meet you on the street, it's gonna be something between you and me. You literally made me cannot make me dislike somebody I've never met. What the heck was wrong with Joe Jackson? This guy, like I said, was garbage, trash. He was the fecal matter that comes out of our bodies to expel waste. When, and of course, I'm jumping around, I'm not going in any kind of order. Um, when Michael was injured on the set of Pepsi and he got his scalp burned, which I didn't realize that was so bad, but I'm like, oh my goodness, he could have died. I literally didn't know it was that bad. But anyway, so Michael gets burned. Instead of asking, is my son gonna be okay? This knucklehead says, is he gonna be able to tour? Um, I agree with this. If he's not nominated for an Oscar, something wrong. Something is wrong. That man played that role. That man played that role. I was like, Joe was, here's my theory. I think Joe was jealous of Michael because one, it seemed like he was just calling Michael out. He never called, and even in the first Jackson movie, The Jacksons and American Dream, which I'll find the link and put it in the chat. Um, Even in that movie, he was going after Michael only. I'm like, you got other kids. I'm not saying it was okay for him to go after his other kids and not Michael, but he wasn't as hard on his other children as he was Michael. I think he was jealous of him. That's literally what I think. I think he was jealous of him because it was like he was just like, I hate you. I want, because y'all know Joe Jackson wanted to be a singer. So did his mother, but they never talked about that. So Joe Jackson wanted to be a singer. And so I think he saw in Michael like this unbelievable talent that he knew that he didn't have. So like he took that anger and aggression off on him. Again, why his mama just stand there and just let that happen and not have some type of conversation. It'd have been some laying on the hands. I'm just saying, you lay hands on my child, me and you about to have some conversations. We gonna have some conversations. Um, in terms of the plot, I will give the critics this. Like I said, this is um this is like a clip note of Michael's life. This isn't like we're gonna talk about his relationship to his brothers. We're gonna talk about um we're gonna talk about um the relationship between father son. Although they did do that a little bit. Um one of my favorite scenes, again, this is in no particular order. Um One of my favorite scenes was when Michael fired Joe. Wait a minute, I gotta stop laughing. Yeah, he did it on facts. He facts. He facts. Michael had his attorney fax the notice that I cracked up laughing. That was so funny. I was like, ha, 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 just what you get. But here my other question. Why was Michael living at home? I'm like, you know you can move out, right? You above 18. You don't have to get. He was living in the Encino mansion while he was doing, like, once they moved to California, he bought all them animals, which I thought were at Neverland, but apparently he had some at the Encino mansion. He was still living at home during, like, some part of Thriller. I'm like, what? Like, don't get your own place. But um yeah, that was my favorite scene. When he fired Joe via fax, I'm just like, no, he did not. I mean, I cracked up laughing. The whole theater was laughing at that. I'm trying to think of what else happened in it. I'm reading kind of like the Wikipedia to give me um um I I thought oh, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? The actor that played Barry Gordy. Oh, I see his face in my head. The actor that played Barry Gordy, I thought, although he didn't look enough like Barry Gordy, um, but um, I still liked him. And he's the one that realizes, hey, Michael would be better off going solo. Now, here's where it gets real important. So actually, Joe was under Michael's roof. MJ bought the home because Joe was terrible with money. Heavenhurst was his house, now belongs to his kids. Oh, okay, because I thought it was the other way around. Well, who bought the Encino mansion? Lorenz Tate. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Um, yes. Okay, thank you. Because I was like, oh, his name is right in my head. So that was a scene that stood out. Um, when they didn't, here's the one criticism I do have. Oh, that's the same house. Okay. Um, Michael's plastic surgery. I just thought he had the plastic surgery because he just didn't like his nose. He thought it was too big and he was trying to like get a new look, etc. But I read somewhere, and y'all can confirm this, that somewhere that Michael actually broke his nose, got his first nose job, and then got his second one to correct the first one because it didn't go right. Is that correct? Because I literally thought he just had plastic surgery because Joe called his nose big. Although Joe had exactly like Joe, he got your nose. What are you talking about? Uh, Again, Joe was out here player hate. Um, I'm also glad that they talked about the vitiligo. That's the other one. That's the other one. I'm so glad because if I hear one more numbnut, he bleached his skin. No, he didn't, doofus. He had this disease called vitiligo. Vitiligo, hey Parker, vitiligo is this disease, right? And it causes, patches. And to really read it, let me read. Um, da 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 da. But I'm glad that they addressed the vitiligo because if I had heard one more person go, he bleached his skin and he didn't want to be black. You know how many times he refers to himself being black in this movie? I'm like, he literally did not say he wasn't Clarence Thomas in it. He didn't go Officer Tate. Like, shut up, people. Like, if you're gonna make up something, um, just shut up. So I'm glad the movie addressed that and like they showed where his skin was bleaching, how he would put the cream. They didn't, however, indicate that between Thriller and Bad, they didn't indicate that Michael was on some type of medicine that made his skin all one color. They skipped that part, which I think would have been good to just kind of like add in there, but that's okay. Um, Michael himself stated over the years that Joe made fun of his. He had Joe's nose. He literally had. Look at Joe's nose. Look at Michael's nose. It's the same nose. Is he kidding me? This dude was a self-hating piece of garbage. Joe Jackson was garbage. Garbage, 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 garbage. Shut up. Um, I'm trying to think what else happened. So, of course, they start off talking about the Jackson Five, and this is another part where I say if Domingo doesn't get an Oscar nomination, they lying. There's a scene where Lorenz Tate, who played Barry Gordy, is sitting there and he's kind of telling Micah what the equipment does. No, the scene before that, where Gordy kicks Joe out of the studio. Oh, that was another one. I was like, ha ha, just what you get. He kicked you out the studio. He kicked you out the studio. Ha 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 ha. Ha. It was so funny. But then there's this other scene with Gordy, um, where Barry is he's going through and telling Michael, the synthesizer does this, the equalizer does this, etc. And Joe, you could tell Joe was like ticked off. It was like, Michael, get out of the studio. And Barry's like, hey, Michael, you're not, and I'm paraphrasing. Hey, Michael's not in the way. He can ask me anything at any time. And then Michael hugs him. Ooh, Joe was mad. Joe was mad. I was happy, but Joe was mad. Um, I'm still trying to figure out, did Michael break his nose? I'm gonna put this because I thought I was reading the reports that Michael actually broke his nose, and that's ultimately why he had. Wait a minute, hold on a sec. Wait a minute. So I'm gonna go over here and find this out. Sorry, I'm just typing here in the background. Okay, so I was right. Okay, I was exactly right. Um, yes, Michael Jackson broke his nose in 1979 during a dance rehearsal. This injury led to his first rhinoplasty. While he admitted to only two surgeries, reports indicate he underwent multiple procedures over the years, including structural change. So that first nose job was because he broke his nose. So I was right about that. Um, hey, how do you want me to? That was another. Okay, that's another scene. Um, Michael gets his own attorney. That's a critical part of the movie. And Michael says, I want to do my own path. I want to be my own artist, blah, blah, blah. And John Rankin is like, well, how do you want me to fire him? And Michael just says quickly, I ain't lying. I was like, get him out now. Um, why did they skip the Wiz? And this is why I'm asking, because it's like they jumped from the Jackson 5 into adult Michael. And then he met Quincy Jones. Like they didn't even mention that's the one criticism I had. Well, I got several, but they're like really tiny, but this one kind of bothered me. I'm like, where did Quincy Jones come from? He was just out here like he was with Michael the whole time. It was like he just showed up and was like, well, there he is right there. No, they actually met on the set of The Wiz. I don't understand this either. Why didn't she want to be in the movie? Why? Like, I wish she would tell us because, like, say what you want about Diana Ross. She was a critical, like, it didn't bother me that Janet wasn't in there. Um, because, like, it didn't, she wasn't in the Jacksons and American Dream either. It didn't bother me then. It doesn't bother me now. And to the people out there, somehow Janet could do her own biopic. Yeah, she could, but she's still gonna have to mention that she's Michael's little sister. Keep that in mind. She gonna have to mention that Michael was her brother. She cannot. She can do a biopic of her own. I mean, it won't be long because basically she had. Let's see, she had the records that she had, but her success is really tied. If it wasn't a Michael, there'd be no Janet. I'm just saying. But anyways, that made me. I'm like, I know Gladys Knight discovered the Jackson Five, but Dinah Ross really promoted them, and I'm like, they couldn't even show her picture. And then she didn't even say why. Maybe like she's grieving in her own way. Um, they filmed the scenes but had to cut them because fake Miss Ross wanted no parts of the movie. I don't think she wants to answer questions about how she played with Michael's feelings. Oh yeah, that would be a because she did. Like if you look, I'm like, girl, you playing around with this child. Um. Anyway. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's true. But Parker did this about the Michael. But like I said, she can make her own biopic, but guarantee she gonna have to be like, oh, whoever plays Janet is gonna be like, oh, Michael's my big brother. Because like, how's she gonna do that? Like she has nothing to stand on by herself. Yeah, she did the Super Bowl, and I think they're the only siblings because Michael did the halftime show. That's an interesting thing. They never wait a minute. When did Michael perform at the Super Bowl? Michael performed at the Super Bowl in the 2000s. Um, but whenever Michael did it, they're the only siblings I think that's headlined their own show. But um, back to the Michael biopic. So it was like Quincy, like I'm saying, it's just like he just showed up. I would like to see them go a little deeper into his character. Um, but here's what tripped me out because here come Meanie Meanie Joe Jackson again. So when Michael was having his success with Off the Wall, which for some reason just won one Grammy, you tell me um how Off the Wall wins just one Grammy? Are you kidding me? But anywho's, um, Joe was still trying to say, you know, this is for the brothers. Now keep in mind, if you listen to Off the Wall, which is Michael's best album, although I'm going to talk about that here at the end, but he was trying to, like, Joe was really selling this is good for the group, this is good for the group, and everybody outside of Joe was saying, no, Michael needs his own solo career. Michael needs his own solo career. He's clearly the star of the group. Although technically, y'all gonna hate me, I think Jermaine's voice was just that much better, like that much better. But what Jermaine doesn't have is what Michael had. He had singing, dancing. He had it. I can't even define what it is, but he had it. He had that charisma. He had that charm. He had that. He was like the paprika on the taco salad. He was like the salt in the food. He was like the pepper in the like he was the he was he was the chicken thigh of the chickens, like the best. Um, and I know some people, well, I'm more of a Prince fan. That's fine. Prince was great. Let me say this, I'm gonna keep moving. Prince was great. Don't get it wrong, because I love Prince. But Michael was GOAT. And there's a difference between being great and being GOAT. Michael literally sold 1 million copies of an album, a Thriller, every single week. There were paramedics that would have to be at his concerts because fans were fainting. There were people in wheelchairs being passed from one stage to another. Now, Prince didn't do any of those things. Doesn't mean he wasn't great. It just means he wasn't GOAT. So for me, I can't even compare the two because I'm like, no, to me now, that's just me. But so despite the success that Off the Wall had, and it should have been bigger, and why just win one Grammy? Um, he thought Joe thought for some reason he was responsible for the group's success and especially Michael's success. And I'm like, dude, it was their talent. He forced him to go with that Triumph tour. Um, um, then they start talking about the Thriller album. And this is where now we start talking about Michael's creative process. Because I'm like, how many? Okay, so of all the songs on Thriller, hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out how many songs on Thriller Michael wrote. Because obviously that's the greatest selling album of all time. So we got to talk about it just a little bit in depth because it gives context to the story. Thriller album. Came out in 1982. So Thriller came out in 1982. Okay. Recording. Da 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 da. I'm trying to figure out all the songs. Da da. They've given a whole big old. Okay, they've given a whole like description. I just want to know the songs. Da da da. Okay, here we go. So The only song I thought Michael wrote PYT, but apparently he didn't. So Michael wrote "Wanna Be Starting Something," "The Girl Is Mine," "Beat It," "Billie Jean," and that's it. That's all he wrote. And I thought he wrote "Human Nature." Somebody named Steve Porocchio and John Bettis. I didn't know James Ingram wrote and Quincy Jones wrote PYT. I thought Michael wrote. See, I thought Michael wrote that song. I also thought he wrote uh, "Lady in My Life," which I was wrong. So, so again, Michael wrote the best song on there, which was Beat It," Billie Jean. But I literally thought Michael wrote "Human Nature." Apparently, he didn't. So there were 9 songs on Thriller, and the only one that wasn't released was "Lady in My Life." Now that part I do know. But anywho's, um, Joe kept this whole thing about it was like the way that Coleman Domingo played it. Like he was so, like I said, I think that Joe was jealous of Michael. He had to be because he kept saying, you gotta do this for the family, do this for the family. And I'm like, but let him be his own person. Let him be his own person. Right? I mean, oh, let me continue because that's just really getting to me. Um, and here's the other thing. So Michael wanted like after Off the Wall got like shambled, and I still don't know why because Off the Wall is clearly a better album than Thriller. I mean, it is. I mean, not by much, but it just is a better album, right? It only got 1 Grammy, and it didn't even hit #1. Michael was like, I want the greatest selling album of all time. And that's what he wanted to do with Thriller. Um, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go here. Do 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 do. Yeah, put comments in the section. Um, yeah, he only won 1 Grammy. And it didn't get nominated for Album of the Year. Um, and he stated it was totally unfair that it didn't get Album of the Year, and it never happened again. That's true because Thriller definitely got Album of the Year. Da 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 da. So the album, the songs on Off the Wall that Michael wrote: "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," "Working Day and Night," "Get on the Floor." He only wrote the B-sides. Rod Temperton wrote "Rock with You." He wrote "Off the Wall." Paul McCartney wrote "Girlfriend." "She's Out of My Life" was written by Tom Baller. "I Can't Help It" was written by Stevie Wonder and Susan Green or Suziah Green. "It's the Following Love," which I really love that song. And "Burn This Disco Out" was written by Temperton. So Michael only wrote 3 songs on there. Um, Honestly, I did not find out who Michael Jackson was until he died. I was 9. But Parker, you didn't, let's see. So you were 9, which means you were born in 2000. I could almost see it. But see, I grew up. I was born in 74. So I was well into I was like 20, 30 something when Michael passed. Yeah, I was in my 30s. Yeah, in my 30s. But back to the movie. Back to the movie. Um, so we're moving back to Thriller. So Michael visits a children's hospital and experiments with his next album, which is set for release in 1982. That's Thriller. After watching a news report, and this answers my question, because I had a real big old question on the Crips and Blood Gang Wars. He hires members of both gangs to appear in his video, Beat It. Um, I never knew what Beat It was about. I could never figure it out. I didn't know. I'm like, what is this song Beat It about? And now I know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Dun, 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 dun. Then came Motown 25. If you haven't watched Motown 25, just go to the YouTubes and just type in Motown 25. I would say watch the whole thing, but just skip to the part where the Jacksons perform, like all of them, Jermaine, because Jermaine plus Jermaine, Tito, Randy, Jackie, Marlon, I'm missing somebody, but and Michael too. And then they leave the stage and Michael performs Billie Jean. That's where the movie kind of takes a shift. And then Michael um started really talking about developing himself as an artist. And this is where Joe shows his ugly head again. Um, this is where Don King enters in the picture. And this is the second part of the movie where I start laughing. This is where it all kind of goes uphill and downhill at the same time. Um, Michael's father, Joseph, has a meeting with Don King, and he wants to do a victory tour. He wants Michael to tour with his brothers. And Don King specifically says, hey, if there's no Michael, I won't do it. So he gets Michael to do it, although Michael, you grown, you could at least said no, but that's okay. So during the filming of the Pepsi commercial, some guy suggests, hey, Michael, go up there to the top of the platform and we'll have like these fireworks go off. Well, one little spark hits his head and he gets third degree burns. Um, Pyrotechnics, that's what it's called. He had third degree burns and nerve damage. I didn't realize that was that bad. He and Bronca sued Pepsi for damages than they really should have, and he gives the proceeds to the burn center where he was treated. Um, here come the funny part. So during the victory tour, I'm trying not to laugh, y'all, but during the victory tour, Michael gets up and performs. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh, and he basically announces, "Hey, this is the last time we touring. um I'm going I don't think he said he was going solo, but he was like, this is the last time that the brothers will tour. And he gets off the stage and Joe's like, how could you do this? And he pushes Joe. I wanted to get out of my seat and clap. I was like, that's right, Michael. Tell him. Tell him. You should have probably did the Pepsi commercial, but tell him. Push him again. Push him again for all those beans he gave you. Push him. Push him real good. Okay. But no, I'm just like, dude, you. And so he was like, then the movie, um, yeah, Michael announces that it's the last time the Jacksons will perform together. That's not actually true because they actually performed the last time at Michael's 30th year in show business celebration that I watched like 25,000 times. Um, And then at the very last scene, they had Michael performing by himself at Wembley Stadium. And that was the bad album. So it ended in 88. And then they said his story continues. So there's probably gonna be a sequel. Um, but some of the casting, um, well, I think for the most part, Yeah, that's the part I'm going to talk about next. So for the most part, they got the casting correct. Um, Kid Michael, although he didn't look squat like Michael, he did really well. I mean, he had me believing. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. I acted like you don't look like him, but that was okay, right? Because that little kid, Michael, oh my goodness, that kid's gonna be something else. His name is Juliano Cruz Valdez. And then I'm gonna talk about Jafar last. So Coleman Domingo again, give this man an Oscar nomination. Ain't no way, ain't no way. This man absolutely must be nominated for an Oscar. Nina Long as the villain Katherine Jackson did a really good job. Mike Teller as Joe Branca, the guy that played Michael's bodyguard, like, you would think somebody as famous as Michael would have like more than one bodyguard, but then we showed Bill Bray. That was Michael's personal. Like, he actually called him dad. Like, he used the word dad. And Joseph, his actual dad, he called Joe. Of course, I can't talk because I called my father by his last name. So I'm not gonna talk about that. But anyway, let me go down the list here. Um, Some of the brothers, like, they were there. Now, here comes my only slight criticism. So, the brothers were in the movie, but were they really? Like, I know it's called Michael, but the Jackson five were like important. And I'm like, I don't think any of them have like a standout line that I can sit here and remember. I'm like, I think, and then they got it wrong because they were like, oh, well, Marlon's gonna go on a date. I'm like, but Marlon was married like when he was 18, unless he was out here in these streets cheating. But I'm like, wasn't Marlon married when like he was 18, or was that Tito? One of them was married at 18, and I thought it was Marlon. Anyway, they looked enough. The one guy that played Jermaine looked just like Jermaine. I was like, oh my gosh. Um, the older Jermaine, Jamal Henderson. I'm like, dude, you look just like um you look just like Jermaine. And then Trey Horton played Marlon Jackson. Now wait a minute. Now Marlon, um, uh, yeah, that's just right. Okay, so in 1975, 18-year-old Marlon Jackson married his girlfriend Carol Ann Parker, whom he met in New Orleans during one of the Jackson's tours. Jackson and Parker have three children: Valencia, Brittany, and Marlon Jr. They also have six grandchildren, two from Valencia and four from Brittany. And then, yeah, so I thought, well, wait a minute, Marlon was like 18 when he got married. So that didn't make sense. They were like, oh, Marlon's got here playing the streets. I'm like, but he was married. Okay, so then Tito didn't have no lines. Why the actor though that played the dope Tito look like Ice Cube though? That's the other part. I'm like, really? um Mike Myers was in this. Oh, wait a minute. I skipped Joseph David Jones. He played um Jackie, the adult Jackie. But Mike Myers, like the Saturday Night Live guy, played Walter Yentenoff. He was the president of CBS that made that phone call, like, I'll pull every artist from um CBS off of MTV. Then Lorenz Tate was pretty good. Live Simone as Gladys Knight. Dion Cole as Dion Cole as as Don King. Oh my goodness. Dion, I didn't know you could act. I literally was like, oh, that's Don King. Well, it was Don. He was playing Don King, but that was Dion Cole. I'm like, oh my goodness. Um, Asia Fuqua, she played she played the Ola Ray part in Thriller. You remember the girl that was scared and she went on that date with Michael? Um, and then they even credited Lily Koscielny as Bubbles uncredited. Like, why Bubbles getting credit? But anyway, I did have some criticisms, although they're very, very, very minor. Again, Diana Ross, y'all couldn't at least threw her name up. Like, what she gonna do? Sue? Yeah, she gonna sue, but you're gonna be in court many, many years. Girl, sit down and be in this movie. Like, your role was too important. Again, it didn't bother me that Janet was not in it. Like, she wasn't in the Jackson's America Dream, and that's what I said I was gonna give for you guys and put it in the link. Um, she wasn't in the Jackson's American Dream, so it really wasn't gonna bother me that she wasn't in this either. Randy wasn't in this one. Um, so okay, let me just put this here because I said I can't believe I found the movie though. That's what I was like, what? Parker, I'm getting to your comment here in a second. Okay, so there's the link, and hopefully you can get it. But like I said, just go on YouTube and click on Jackson's American Dream. It's more about it's more about the Jacksons than it is Michael by himself. Um, because I did in the first one, I didn't like adult Michael, and now I'm going to talk about the best part of the movie. So let me say this about Jafar Jackson. Oh my goodness. If you don't know, Jafar Jackson is Jermaine's son, which makes him Michael his uncle. Um that um that young man played Michael. It was hard. Like he sounded like Michael. He looked not in every frame did he look like Michael. You could tell like the Thriller one. I'm like, well, that don't really look like he don't really look like Michael in there. But like when they showed him, he sounded exactly like his uncle. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The dance moves, he hit it to a T. I forget who did the choreography for this movie, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Jafar Jackson. I don't know if he'll ever get a Oscar nomination. I think he should because really, he literally was Michael. It was like I would blink my eyes for a second. And I'm like, oh, Michael. Oh, and then open my eyes, like, oh no. Like they had to do like an extreme close up, or the way in like two or three scenes he would turn his head. I'm like, okay, that's not Michael. Especially those full body pictures, because I'm like, oh, Jafar, he working with some because Michael was just like straight up and down. He wasn't really, you know, well developed in the posterior area. But Jafar, okay, I see what I see you in these streets, Jafar. But there was like very rare times um that I thought, oh well, this is gonna be terrible. Um, Um, I'm trying to think of what else stood out about the movie. It was, um, I'm trying to read. Well, let me see if I can get this right. I'm trying to think how I can say this next part without. I already said this is spoiler show. So here's what I will say about the things that I'm like, well, why didn't they? Um, of course, again, it did not bother me. Janet wasn't in it, but why was the actor that played Latoya in there? She literally had no line. She was just there. Like, what's she doing? I mean, I know Latoya Jackson was actually one of the executive producers, but they couldn't have gave her one line. It was like they was just like, "Ooh, Latoya in it. Let's put her in there because she executive producer. So we got to get." No, no. Um, it just didn't make sense that she was in there. I almost didn't like when they would just like go from one time period to another. And then in the background, they would play like Jackson 5 music when Michael was clearly an adult. That bothered me. I mean, it didn't bother me that much, but um another thing, I mean, I thought 2 hours was just enough time, but it was like I wanted more songs. I don't know why. This isn't a musical. Um, it was just like, here's what I will say, and because this show is going into an hour, I didn't think I would literally talk about a movie for an hour, but oh well. Um, we know it's going to be a sequel, and here's what I wondered: um, the PDF allegations, how are they going to like square that all away, right? I would like to see them go more in depth in terms of how Michael related, like how the brothers reacted to Michael being so big and so out front. Like, were they jealous? Were they supportive? I know it was like 1 year where every single member of the Jacksons, like, let me backtrack. So, like when Michael would release a solo album, like they would jump and do the same thing. So it was like he was their gravy train, and they would just like eat off of what he was doing. Whatever success he had, they had to have it too. But I would wonder, I would like to see that explored more. Um, they can leave Joe out of it. Like I said, he was garbage. Garbage. You're garbage of a human being. That made no sense sitting there being that mean. Just for no reason. It was like he was a villain for like no reason. They didn't do no backstory. Now they could do that. Like they give some type of backstory. Like, was Joe abused as a child and that's why he was so aggressive? And then again, they got to answer this question. Why did Catherine sit there and let him abuse his children like that? She just like, okay, whatever. I'll just watch. Like, girl, do something. If they could explore that, but I would really like to see them, especially during like, because I know they all supported him at his trial. They were there every single day. They were coming to court with him. Although Latoya did say that Michael was guilty, and then something with her husband, and they had some kind of weird thing that he was doing to her to make her say those things. But like she's still married to. It takes my sister to explain that because I'm still like, how you gonna accuse your brother publicly and then say, "Oops, girl, girl." Um, But I would like to see them get more into the, well, how did especially during like the Thriller years? Because remember, Thriller was just a juggernaut. This album was selling 1 million copies a week. And they're just like, we're here too. I would wonder how that is. Now, that's more of a Jackson's biopic. But again, can you do a Jackson's biopic and not mention Michael? No, you cannot. Can't. Again, you can't do a Janet biopic and not mention Michael. Basically, this movie was a clip, no version of Michael's life. And to all the critics who had such hateration, again, y'all being real petty. But who nobody cares. The movie's made $300 million. It's only second in terms of biopics behind Bohemian Rhapsody. Um, it still had the highest premiere of any biopic ever. So it's breaking records despite the, I hate to say hateration, but that's pretty much what it is. So I'm planning on seeing it again. Um, I don't know whether it'll be the next 2 weeks, but I do plan on seeing it again. I don't give movies 10s, but this movie, oh, it's like a 9.9. It's almost there. If Diana Ross had been in it, I think I just would have given it a full 10. The casting was great. The acting was great. Of course, the songs were just like fantastic. So I hope you all enjoy my pick. I had said I was gonna talk about my favorite Michael Jackson songs, but then I realized, oh, I said Off the Wall was a better record, but every song I named came off the Thriller album. So I guess Thriller is my favorite album, but although Billie Jean is my top. Billie Jean is the most favorite song from Michael, period. Then number two is Wanna Be Starting Something. Then number three is Rock With You. Then number four is Human Nature. And number five is PYT. Again, most of those songs come off the Thriller album, even though I'm pretty sure that Off the Wall was a better album. If I'm ranking it in terms of his albums, in terms of how I like them, it was Off the Wall was first, Dangerous was second, Bad was third, and Thriller was fourth. But again, my favorite songs are coming off of the Thriller album. So maybe subconsciously I like it, but I go see this movie. Don't wait for it to stream. You have to see this in a theater in the full magnitude. You seeing it at home is not going to do it. It's not. Go to the theaters and see it. Just go. Just go. Just get up and go. I paid $13.69. I did not eat nothing. I did not drink nothing. I just waited till I got out the theater to have my little snacks. Do it. Just go see it. It's not going to be as crowded as it was that first weekend where I couldn't get tickets. So you should be good to get your ticket. Now finally, I want to invite you all to. I'm gonna first get to Parker's comment, and he'll be the last one I highlight. Yeah, I learned about his whole life the first time when he died watching TV. They always were talking about him, so that's how I heard about his music for the first time. That's really weird because most people would know. I would figure most people would know who Michael was. And that's another thing I didn't talk about. Like the reach of his fame was just insane. It was just insane. Um, it has, but now I'm starting to really think. I'm like, but most of the songs I like from him are coming off the Thriller album. I'm like, is Off the Wall really his best album? Like, but I do think like a big part of me thinks that Off the Wall is the better album. Oh, and I forgot Heartbreak Hotel, but I think that was when he was with the Jacksons. He was on it. Love Heartbreak Hotel, not the Elvis Presley version. I'm talking about his version. Or is it called This Place Hotel? It's either called This Place Hotel or Heartbreak Hotel. Wait a minute. Now I gotta wait a minute. Wait a minute. This place. Okay, so Michael did write This Place Hotel. It was a okay, that's why I kept saying it was called Heartbreak Hotel. It was originally called Heartbreak Hotel, but they renamed it This Place Hotel. It was written by Michael. And while his brothers did not sing background vocals, they were credited with playing percussions on the album. So this one was a part of which album? Oh, this was on the Jacksons. Okay, I see what they did. Um, yeah, This Place Hotel is fire. Y'all gonna listen to that song. That song is fire. Fire, fire, fire. Um, again, thank you all for watching. I will be on tomorrow. We got some political news to get to. Some of you are gonna really enjoy my who's to blame for the Supreme Court acting an entire fool. Um, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Um, we'll talk about um the schedule announcement of the NFL is coming up this month. Um, I'll address that and it'll be in and out. But I will be on tomorrow for the Sunday show at 7 p.m. Thank you all for watching. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Like, share, comment, subscribe. One more time. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock p.m. Have a great evening. Bye bye.